Welcome to the Turkey Hunter Podcast with me, your host, Andy Galliano. In this podcast, I share with turkey hunters just like you how to have more turkeys on your hunting property and how to have more successful turkey hunts. I teach you how to do this with tips and interviews with turkey hunting pros, wildlife management tips, and entertaining turkey hunting stories. Tune in weekly as I share proven and simple strategies to help you have more success this turkey season. Make sure to head over to www.iamturkeyhunting.com to subscribe to receive free turkey hunting tips, tactics, strategies, and product reviews. Also, please visit and like my Facebook fan page. Go to Facebook and search I Am Turkey Hunting, and also feel free to post your turkey hunting photos from this past season and let us know where and when you killed your bird. For all of you Twitter users out there, please follow me on Twitter, where my handle is @TurkeyHitman, and I will be sure to follow you back. And now, for this week's show. Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the Turkey Hunter Podcast. You are listening to episode number 129, Etiquette and Safety When Turkey Hunting Public Land, with Corporal Dave Painter. And I am your host, and the guy who is still in his mid-season lull. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that a bird will roost on one of my hunting properties and actually give me an opportunity to have a hunt. That window of hope is closing as we are 18 days, 6 hours, 24 minutes, and 45 seconds away from the end of spring turkey season in Alabama. So I have a confession to make. This morning I screwed the pooch on a turkey hunt. As I mentioned to you in the intro, I have been trying desperately to lure turkeys off of neighbors' properties onto my properties to hunt. I am still hearing turkeys gobble, but I am not hearing turkeys gobble on my hunting properties. They're all on my neighbors' hunting properties. And so in my attempts to lure them from the neighbor's property onto my property, this morning I set up on the property line of my property that I own in Chilton County. And now this property is just under 24 acres. The turkeys are either there or they're not. It's just that easy. Well, this morning they were roosted about 100 yards from my property line, and they were on the neighbors. So I set up on the property line. I began to call, and they would gobble. There were multiple turkeys. Come to find out, and I found out the hard way, there were 5 gobbling turkeys. They would respond to my calls, but they were not very excited about coming into where I was. So they started to ease off, and when they started to ease off, I thought, I have nothing to lose at this point, so I'll give them a little challenge. And I took my box call, and I gobbled on it. Well, they gobbled back. So I waited a few seconds, and I gobbled again, and they gobbled back. And I waited a couple of minutes, and I gobbled again, and they gobbled again, and they were closer. So I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting. And I'm expecting the turkeys to walk down the road from the neighbor's property to my property, walk around the neighbor's gate, which is very easy to do. There's no fence on our property line, but the neighbor has a very nice gated entry to his property. And I'm expecting the turkeys to walk around that gate and come into my decoy setup. So I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. I gobble again and nothing. Some crows fly over and call and nothing. In fact, the crows, when they cawed, scared me so bad if I was a turkey I would have gobbled. But the turkeys that I was calling to didn't gobble. So I've been sitting there for probably, I'd say 20 to 25 minutes since I last heard the turkeys gobble. And I hear turkeys gobble far away from me. Well, these turkeys had been up on a ridge, and they were walking this ridge, and I'm at the bottom of the ridge. And when they would get over the crest of the ridge away from me and gobble, they would sound, obviously, much further away than they would when they were on top of the ridge gobbling. And so that's what happened. The turkeys gobbled over the ridge. I thought they were gone, walking further away. And so while I'm waiting, after they gobbled this last time where they sounded further away, nature calls. And I stand up and I take about 2 steps from where I'm sitting and I hear put, 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 put. And I turn and look, and there are 2 turkeys who are coming through the woods to me, not down the road, but through the woods to me, who I literally think I almost scared to death. They were about 60 yards from me, but they were coming in from behind me, and I did not know they were there. So they took off. I obviously was not very happy with myself, even though I didn't have much control over the situation there. So I guess my whole reason for telling you guys this is that we're going to screw up in the turkey woods. We're going to spook birds. It's part of it. Stay positive. Stay after them. I'm not giving up. I'm going after them tomorrow morning, and I'm actually headed to a friend of mine's property. This is a new piece of property. I'm headed there. I'm excited about it, and we're going to hunt for 2 days there. I'll be leaving there and headed to my camp from that point. So I am hopeful that I will have another turkey story for you next week with a happier ending. Okay, I have 2 quick announcements for you guys this week. First, I'm going to be doing a quick how-to subscribe to the premium content show, and I'll be posting that soon. It's going to be a separate show. It's not going to be our weekly show. It's just going to be something in addition. In fact, that how-to episode may actually post before this episode does. So look in your feed for the podcast and see if you have the how-to episode there. I understand from several of you guys that subscribing to the premium show has not really been easy to do, and that is because there are actually 2 Turkey Hunter podcast feeds on the players that are out there right now. And I apologize for any confusion, but I think a quick how-to can clear up the confusion for us. Now, secondly, as I mentioned last week, I get a lot of questions from you guys this time of year, and I've decided that most of the time it's just going to be easier for me to answer those questions on a show. So, for the next few weeks, I'm going to produce a quick 10 to 30 minute show where I just answer your questions. I'm going to post that show at odd times through the weeks, and it will be available to premium subscribers unless you are one who asked a question. If your question is answered on the show and you are not a premium subscriber, I am going to email a link to that show for your listening pleasure. I want to continue to serve you guys, and if you have questions for me, I want to do my part to answer those so that hopefully the answer I give you will help you to tag a turkey this season. By doing this, we'll be able to keep the length of each weekly show to 45 minutes to an hour, which is my goal with this show. Okay, and speaking of keeping the show to 45 to 60 minutes, I need to get moving. So, while at the NWTF convention in Nashville, I was fortunate enough to meet one of our turkey hunting podcast family members, Eric Zerfus, who gave me a show topic suggestion that I thought was stellar. His suggestion was to do a show on the etiquette of turkey hunting public land. After doing my due diligence, I found Corporal Dave Painter with the Michigan DNR to discuss this very topic with us. Now, Michigan has a lot of public land and a lot of hunters as well. Corporal Painter has many years of experience in the field dealing with this very topic. And listen to him. He has a voice for radio. This topic is an important one because it bleeds over into safety. And when hunting public land, we can never be too safe. Now, before I start the interview, I failed to put into the NWTF recap show an interview that I had done at the NWTF convention. So stay tuned in after my interview with Corporal Painter for that interview. Okay, enough yapping out of me. Here is Corporal Dave Painter, and I will see you guys on the other side. Hey everybody, I am excited to tell you that I have on the line with me today Corporal Dave Painter, who is with the Law Enforcement Division of the Department of Natural Resources for the state of Michigan. And Dave is going to talk to us today about a topic that, well, if you hunt public land, then you probably have had something come up along this line before in the past. And we're going to talk about etiquette, and I'm sure it's going to bleed a little bit over into safety for turkey hunting public land. So, Dave, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to come on and chat with us and go over this topic that I'm sure we can all learn a little bit from. And I know we all will hope that the people who are hunting the public land next to us will listen to this episode and learn a few things so that it'll help us have a little bit more enjoyment and a little bit more safety out there. So how are you and where are you today?
I'm doing great, Andy, and I am located in the west end of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Okay. What is it like there today? What's the weather like?
Actually, in lower Michigan, we're getting snowstorms this morning.
Wow.
In the UP, it's low 40s and windy and sunny.
Okay. Well, we're about 20 degrees warmer than you and the same, windy and sunny. So I guess you guys had the same front come through yesterday or the day before that we had, huh?
Sounds like it, yes. Yep.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, and I know you're a turkey hunter because you and I chatted before I hit the record button here, so tell us how you got into turkey hunting yourself.
Yeah, first of all, I'm a conservation officer in the state of Michigan and have been for 22 years, and I got into turkey hunting about 25 years ago as part of the turkey reintroduction program. They were reintroduced into my home county in lower Michigan, where I used to live. And though we didn't have a turkey hunt there yet, they hadn't been established enough to hunt them. It got my interest up, and I put in for a lottery tag north of me about 3 hours and drew one. And I started reading everything I could about turkeys. And back then, we had a few, I think we could rent a couple turkey hunting VHS tapes from my local video store.
Yeah.
I watched everything I could and read every article I could, and kind of that's how I got into it. And then after my first hunt, I was hooked.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Did you have some success on that first hunt?
I did. Right at the end of my first hunt, I was able to harvest a nice big tom.
Very nice.
So for 25 years now, that's kind of been one of my passions, is turkey hunting in the spring.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, when you're able to have some success on your first hunt out, it does help to keep things, or at least to keep you interested for sure.
Yes, I remember getting up at 2:30 in the morning to be at this spot to hunt on that last day that I went, and it was well worth it.
Very cool. Well, about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago at the NWTF convention in Nashville, I had a listener of the show come up to me and suggest this show topic. And I thought it was a pretty good idea to do it. You know, first of all, it won't help those of us who are considerate of other hunters on public land to get a little gentle reminder. But secondly, I think it'll be good for us to really keep in mind why we need to be considerate of the other hunters that are hunting on the public land as well, and that is safety. And so I know that wild turkeys can make us turkey hunters do some crazy and often stupid and unsafe things when we chase them. A lot like, you know, the drink wild turkey makes us do some crazy and stupid things after we chase too much of that with some water or cola. But I want to talk to you today about really how we hunt public land and how we treat other hunters on that property while we are hunting it. And I know that there's a lot of public land in Michigan, and there are a lot of hunters as well. So I wanted to get someone on from Michigan to cover this topic with us because you guys have so much public land and you do have so many hunters on that land. And so I appreciate you coming on with us and scouting an area on public land for a month or 2 months before season starts. And they get to that spot opening morning and they see a truck parked in that area. So what should we do from that point? Our natural instinct is to say, well, that's mine. That's my area. You know, I want to hunt this area, but what should we do from there?
Sure. Yeah, we get so much vested in it, and sometimes we feel like we've done so much work that that's kind of our guaranteed spot, or we've hunted there so many years. And we get this a lot during deer season also, where someone says, I've hunted there for 25 years, and these guys come in and set up on me. Well, it is public land, and we have to share it with everybody, unfortunately. And sometimes this time of year, we're not only competing with turkey hunters, we might have mushroom pickers or hikers or birders or horseback riders, or you never know who you're going to run into with those. And some of them have no idea that turkey season is even going on. So we have to be, cognizant of these other users out there. One of the things I do is go up and look in that vehicle and try to determine why they're there. Is there a gun case on the seat, or some chemical ring, or a box of shotgun shells? Mm-hmm. And then if it is, if we're hunting public lands in the first place, we should have a backup plan, because we are sharing it with so many other people. Right. So at that point, you may be able to determine which direction they traveled by foot tracks. You may be able to see how many people got out of the vehicle. Are there tracks getting out of the passenger side also? Maybe there's hunters in two different directions there also. Some of the things I would look at, and then, like I said, if you know that area, you may know where the birds are roosted, and if these tracks are going the opposite direction, maybe you'll be able to hunt that area. Maybe it's time to go to plan B and find another area, or go to another area that you have picked out.
Okay. All right. So, and that's something that I never even really thought about, was going and looking in the vehicle, because that's going to tell you everything. If you look in my truck right now, in my console, there are 2 tube calls, a wing bone call, I think 2 or 3 diaphragms, and that's not even the calls that I carry with me. So
Sure. Those are your practice calls that your spouse doesn't want to hear you practicing in the house with all the time.
You got it.
Practice vehicle, yeah. Or another good thing is we've all worked them birds off the roost, and they pitch down with some hens, and they go the opposite direction. Maybe go to your backup plan and come back there at midday. And at the last few years, I've had some great success at midday, where these birds fly off the roost and they're dead silent. And I go back at midday, and they just about come running in once the hens are on the nest or such. That
right.
Maybe give them their crack. Come back when that truck's not there and give it another try.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say, I guess really the tables are turned. We get to our hunting spot and no one's there. So we park our vehicle. What is a good way for us to let someone that might come to that area after we do know that we are hunting in that area, and hope they'll get the hint not to come in there?
Sure. Communication is key, and I know some of us are out scouting all the time, and scouting the weekend before or the evening before, trying to put birds on the roost. What I do, even before I get to opening day or opening weekend, or where I may run into other hunters, if I'm in that area and I'm meeting a vehicle on a dirt road, I'll slow down and roll down my window and stop and just start talking to them. And part of it's from doing my job for so many years, I think, just curiosity. But in this day and age, we're all looking at that little cell phone that we carry around, and that's our communication. We've almost forgot how to talk to people.
Right.
If you see people in your hunting area, talk to them, and maybe it is a mushroom picker that just says, well, we're not turkey hunters, but boy, we saw a big bird up the road here, and maybe you can even gather some information from them. But if you talk to them and they're planning on hunting, maybe if you approach it like, hey, I don't want to mess up your hunt in the morning. Where are you guys planning on being? And you approach it that way, they'll usually tell you, in a general area where they're going to be to help avoid them. But once you're into a public area and you're hunting, you can leave a note on your dash or tape it to your window. It says turkey hunting, and maybe give a general idea. Other than that, I guess just try to communicate with other people in your area ahead of time. We all know those people that show up opening day and just wander out onto public land. There's going to be those people that you may have to deal with. I had one year. There was a bird I was working, and it was in a field, and I heard a vehicle stop out on the road. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I knew, I had a guy crawling between me and the bird. And when he was in line with my decoy, he still hadn't seen my decoy or me. I remember reaching into my pocket where I had a Hunter Orange decoy bag that folded up, that I carried my decoys in, and folded that up. And I brought it out on my lap. I whistled at him and I waved it around. Now, most people with any ethics, or if they were brought up right at all, would kind of wave and say, kind of sneak back out to their vehicle.
Right.
This guy continued belly crawling towards the bird that was gobbling and calling like crazy until the bird just shut right down. And he went out. I heard his truck start. I heard him leave eventually. But unfortunately, we can't regulate ethics. It's
True.
It's one of those things where if we let our tempers get the best of us, nothing good is going to come out of that. Everybody's got, firearms, and I guess I raised 3 boys, and I wish I knew how many times over the years I said, just be the bigger man. And I guess, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Well, walk-in hunting areas are, I think, getting more and more popular with a lot of states, and I think it's really good, and that's an area that I like to hunt in because I usually don't like to hunt out of my vehicle. We miss so much by hunting out of a vehicle, by driving down the road a quarter of a mile and getting out and hooting or crow calling and then jumping back in the vehicle if there's no gobble or no response to our locator calls, and driving another quarter mile down the road and doing the same thing. I'm the type of hunter who likes to get out and walk, and the walk-in hunting areas are appealing to me for that reason of knowing that, okay, I can get out here and I can walk and not have anybody just come whizzing past me in a vehicle and pull up, 100 yards in front of me like fishermen often have people do when they're fishing and get cut off by other people in a bass boat getting in front of them. But the walk-in areas, as much as I like them, they present a different issue altogether in knowing if someone is in that area hunting because there is no vehicle around. So what can we do in those walk-in areas to kind of help us determine if somebody's in that area hunting? And if someone is in that area, what should we do at that point in time? Or if we even think someone's in that area, what should we do at that point?
Boy, I guess that's a good question. In my experience, I found if you get more than a half mile off a road, you're probably not going to run into anybody. But if you do, and it's a big enough chunk of area, just go the opposite direction, or like I said earlier, have a backup plan and use all of your senses. I remember one year we were working a complaint of some turkey hunters, and back when we had a drawing system only for turkey tags, and a guy had borrowed a tag from someone else and didn't have his own tag, and we were able to follow his locator calls. We watched them come out of their trailer on private land, walk onto the public land where they were hunting, and we had a vantage point there that we could see they were both carrying shotguns, and we could listen to their owl hoots for 15 minutes till we knew where they were set up, and then we could hear their hen calls, and we just waited there for them to walk back later in the morning, and ended up making contact with them. And so use all of your senses, not just your sight, but your ears. Listen for signs like that so you can tell where people are, and it's not always going to work, but as hunters, we're keen to our surroundings, and just be aware. And you may stumble onto someone. Like I said before, it's an accident. Turn around, go back the direction you came, if possible, or give them a wide berth. And if they got there before you and it's public land, then be the courteous one. Be the one to give them their morning there. And then, you can always leave your note and maybe a phone number on their windshield that, hey, I'm hunting the same area. I don't want to have to ruin your hunt again. Maybe give me a call and we can work out, a schedule here.
Yeah. So when the table is turned and we're the ones in that area and someone comes in on us, what can we do? You mentioned taking out that orange decoy bag and waving it, and I think that's pretty smart to be able to do that, to let that other hunter know that you're in that area. But what are some other ways that we could let someone know that we're there? I guess that really falls into the whole safety thing as well, and this is going to happen unfortunately on private or public land at some point in time with us. This concludes the free portion of this week's show. If you'd like to hear the full premium episode, then you'll need to subscribe to the premium content. And here's how to do that. Just text the word Turkey Hunter, one word. Just text the word Turkey Hunter, and that's one word, TURKEYHUNTER, to the number 44222, and I'll send you a text message asking for you to reply with your email address only. Once you reply with your email address, you will receive an email from me with a link to subscribe to the premium podcast content. Okay, so I hope you guys who hunt public land enjoyed that. And really, my takeaway from that interview is that this etiquette applies on private land as well, especially those of us who are part of a hunting club or camp where others turkey hunt the same property. So I've got a story about a run-in that I had with one of our hunting club members several years ago. Our property at the time consisted of about 2,000 acres, and it was divided into 3 distinct areas by roads and creeks. each area was between 400 and 1,000 acres. So my agreement with this other member, we'll call him Danny, was that if I was hunting an area in the morning, he would go to one of the other two areas, and if either of us wanted to change our area, that we could go to the one open area, and that we would text each other and make sure that we weren't stepping on each other's toes. So Danny texted me one day. He said, "Hey, I am going to the clubhouse side of the property." And I texted him back and I said, "No, actually, I'm on the clubhouse side of the property. You can go to the other open area." And so he texted back and he said, "No, I'm coming over there to the clubhouse side and I'm going to hunt in such and such area of the clubhouse side." And I texted him back and said, "Do not come over here. Go hunt the other open piece of the property." Well, Danny decided to come on in there and hunt anyway. And it wasn't the biggest deal in the world, except it was a safety issue. And he violated our verbal agreement that we had. We had plenty of property to hunt, but he was determined to come in and hunt the area that I was hunting. And so he and I exchanged words at lunch, said what we had to say, and a couple hours later he apologized because he knew that what he did was wrong, and we moved on. No big deal. No hard feelings. No issues from that point going forward. So the reason that I'm sharing that story is just to prove that this goes on even on private land, even on hunting club land, or if it's a private farm and someone else has permission to hunt that property, then these types of disagreements and misunderstandings can happen. So be considerate of other hunters. When the dust settles, it really is just a bird. It's a turkey. And if we don't do something foolish in the woods, if a confrontation arises, then we'll live to hunt another day. Even if that you-know-what that screwed up your hunt or your plan to hunt kills your turkey. Okay, I do need one favor from you this week, please. Because of the nature of today's topic, I feel like we can do some good by sharing this episode with as many other hunters as possible. So, here is what I'm asking you to do. Those of you who are listening to the show who are members of a hunting forum on the internet, it doesn't necessarily have to be a turkey hunting forum, but those are even better. And I'm talking about forums like Old Gobbler or AL Deer, any forum out there that's related to hunting. If you will post a link to this week's show on that forum, I would be very appreciative. The link to this show is as follows. Grab a pen and piece of paper. www.iamturkeyhunting.com/129. The number's 129. That's it. If you'll go on those forums and type a little comment about, hey, here's some great information about etiquette and safety for turkey hunting public land, and post that on there, we'll be BFFs again. Who knows? The person who happens upon your post and listens to this show may just be the person who shares the same turkey or deer woods with you. That's it. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. I know that you have choices. I appreciate you spending your time with us. I hope you have a wonderful week and a very happy and blessed Easter. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Goodbye. Thanks for tuning in. You were just listening to the Turkey Hunter Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please go on over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. And make sure to head over to www.iamturkeyhunting.com to subscribe for free turkey hunting tips, tactics, strategies, and product reviews to help you have a more successful turkey season. And stay tuned for upcoming episodes on hunting afternoon birds, how to film your hunt, and the breeding cycle of hens, as well as some guest interviews. Thanks again for listening. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you sharing some of it with us. See you next week.